Hi everyone, I'm delighted to welcome you to Cuik Talk, the podcast of Penicuik Athletic Football Club. I'm your host, Cuikie Penman, and before we get on to today's guest, I'm delighted to announce that we will be linking up with the local radio station here in Penicuik, Crystal FM. They will begin to broadcast the podcast in half-an-hour chunks going forward, and I'm delighted with that. You'll still be able to access the full version through our usual platforms, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, as well as various other platforms that you'll see plastered everywhere, no doubt, when I start plugging this. And I'd like to thank everyone for your feedback over the last month on the podcasts. We hope you're enjoying them. We're taking it all on board. I'm working hard on getting a good pool of guests going forward. We've had a few requests that we're chasing up, and I think one or two of them know who they are. So hopefully we'll be able to bring you them in the near future. And on that, we'll now get on to today's podcast as we look back on a very good Penicuik career over the last few years, as I'm joined by midfielder Sam Jones. Sam, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks, Dougie. How are you getting on yourself?
I'm fine. You keeping busy?
Yeah. So I'm still working from home at the moment, so it's all right. Keeps me a little bit busy, sort of doing a bit of that, staying on top of the fitness and things, whatnot. So yeah, it's all right. It's quiet, but it's good to keep me going.
Yeah. So the reason I've got you on today is we're going to sort of look back at your time at Penicuik. As many people are aware, you've agreed to move to Spartans this summer, so we'll touch on that at the end. But you joined us in January 2017 from Berwick Rangers, where you were captain of their under-20s. And how did it feel for you coming into the club at that time, halfway through the season?
Yeah, God, it feels like years and years ago now, looking back. A young 18, 19-year-old. It was strange actually coming midway through the season, because when you start the season at the under-20s level, all the players sort of go on loan to a junior team to try and get experience. But I was playing with my university team at that time, so I didn't really need to have that option. But it got to the point where we were playing midweek games with Eric and we were training as well. So it got to the weekend and it got to Saturday and I wasn't doing anything. I was really missing the football at the weekend. So I spoke to the Berwick coach and I just said to them, look, is there any chance you could maybe stick me out on loan? I want to try and play as much as I can. And then I think within a few days actually, they got back and looked, Penicuik are interested. And admittedly at the time, I didn't know much about junior football. You know, I never came from that sort of area. None of my family or close friends or anyone played at that level, so sort of very unknown to what was going on there. But coming in and initially in that reaction where you're playing against guys that are a lot older than you, a lot bigger than you, the football is a lot more physical. It's definitely a shock to the system, but I think massive development at the time, and I learned so much as a player.
You mentioned that not a lot of family or close friends played, so I take it then you weren't very close to the Scott twins. How was that?
Of course, then, yeah. Yeah, so guys I've known for a number of years, played against them at boys' club, then played with them for Loanhead together for a couple of seasons, and then we were at Penicuik together. Two really good guys, really good footballers, and having them at Penicuik actually really helped me sort of transition into the squad, because it's always helpful when there's guys at a team that you're joining, sort of just makes you feel a bit more welcome. So having those two there definitely helped me feel a lot more at home within the dressing room and things like that. So it was brilliant.
So you signed in January, but you didn't make your first appearance until the tail end of February in a 3-2 win at Musselburgh. Kyle scored the last minute winner there. He's paid me to say that. And then you got your first start a few weeks later in a 4-0 win against Genefield. But how important was it that 6 months and settling in, and then obviously enjoyed it so much that you signed?
Yeah, I remember the first sub appearance came on and we were losing 2-1, I think, at the time. And I think the squad sort of down to its bare bones, a lot of injuries, maybe a few suspensions as well. So I think maybe in other circumstances, maybe I wouldn't have even came on, but luckily I did came on at 2-1, and although I didn't really have a hand in either of the two goals, we managed to win the game, which was brilliant. And so you get that taste for it and you're like, yeah, I want more of that. I don't actually remember my start now that you mentioned it there. I can't remember the game too well. But I remember towards the end of the 6-month loan spell that I was playing more really enjoying it. Really sort of saw how much I was developing already. Sort of noticed that Penicuik was definitely a place where I wanted to be long term, and I wanted to be a part of it and try and make the club successful, as successful as they can be. And those first 6 months definitely made that decision very, very easy for me.
So obviously you then signed permanently from Berwick in that summer, and you quickly set about establishing a place in centre mid after sort of maybe you're moved around in the first 6 months, right mid, centre mid. How big was you got your first goal for us against Bonnyrigg in a 2-2 draw, but do you feel you'd sort of maybe arrived at that point and settled in?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what game the Bonnyrigg one was within the season, but I know we started really, really well. I think first sort of 12, 13 games, we'd won the majority of them. I hadn't lost yet. Maybe drew a couple. One of them probably being the Bonnyrigg game. And I think I'd started more or less all of them at the time, which was brilliant. I had a really good pre-season. I made my way into the team, and it was just the only thing that was missing was that goal. And I knew when I got one, I'd hopefully get more, which I did. It was a bit more relief than anything when I saw the ball hit the back of the net. But obviously the occasion against Bonnyrigg, your local rivals, in a massive game, where the points mean even more. It was brilliant to get the goal. And as I say, it was just a huge weight off my shoulders when I eventually got it.
And then not long after that, we had the Junior Cup ties with Kilburney Ladeside from the West. Obviously, they were big occasions again for the club and big crowd at Penicuik Park. But did that sort of go a long way to teaching you about junior football, shall we say?
Yeah, it definitely did. I mean, it feels like the games against Kilburney just was like a month. It spanned like a month because we went there. The game got called off before we even managed to kick off. Then we went back, we drew, then brought them back to Penicuik, and it obviously goes all the way to penalties. But I mean, that was a great experience, and obviously their crowd and their support was very vocal at the time as well, and something I'd never really experienced too much. Coming from sort of boys' club, but you know, their fans were hostile. They were shouting abuse. They had the drum and stuff. So it's definitely an eye opener. But again, an experience that I thoroughly enjoyed. Gave you a taste again for how big junior football was at that time, and even more so in the West.
And we talked about obviously your first goal for the club against Bonnyrigg. You got a couple more that season, but was sort of your best moment of that season, apart from something that'll come a wee bit later, which we'll get to, but was it the 2 goals against Bonnyrigg in the quarterfinals of East of Scotland?
Yeah, you know, it probably was. Aside from, you know, what we'll talk about in a bit, that was definitely one of the best moments. I'd probably say, even still, looking back on it now, it was a great day. I remember the crowd was packed, you know, the pitch was brilliant, great surface that night, and everything that could go right did, you know. Chased after this loose back pass that managed to just fall my way, and I was just there to tap it in. And the second one, Limbo's tried to flick it through to me. It's taken a wee nick off their defender, and it sort of just fell to me. But again, it's one of the great nights that I've had with Penicuik over the years.
And then you were establishing yourself as somebody that liked a goal in a big game, and you got one in the Fife and Lothian semi-final against Newton Grange, which unfortunately we didn't win, but we did, however, move on to play Trent in the East of Scotland Cup final. Obviously, that was a good day for the club, 2-0 victory. How did it feel to win that, and what was it like when I asked you to put that GoPro on for the celebrations?
Yeah, that day from start to finish was just magic. I think any of the boys that were part of that would tell you. The first cup final I played in with Penicuik, and you know, it was out in Lithgow. You know, loads of fans there, all singing and cheering, and I don't know. I just had a feeling as well that day that we were going to win it. I just sort of knew, and you know, Humi scored that first header, and then sort of I backed against the wall for a while, just trying to defend, and then somebody's got that late goal, and then after that it's just bedlam and everyone's running up, and you just know at that point we've done it. And even the celebration in the changing room after, I know you've got videos of that, and they've been on the social media many times. They're memories that you'll never forget. Even towards the end of your career, absolutely brilliant. And obviously wearing the the cam, just something a bit different. I just thought, you know what, why not? I'll just put it on, and we got some good footage, hopefully.
Did and obviously that was our last match in junior football as we transitioned over to the East of Scotland League and senior football that summer. What were your initial thoughts when you heard the club were making the move?
Yeah, I was delighted. Me and the boys had spoke about it a lot in the group chats, and sort of opinions were going back and forth. But you know, the general consensus was that we all wanted to make the move because we thought that long term it would be the best thing for the club. You know, you just open yourself up to so much more opportunity. You know, we've experienced that last season. You know, the Scottish Cup run, which was absolutely fantastic and a huge success for the club, and you know the publicity around it. So at the time we were like, yeah, that's definitely where we want to be. So we were all really happy with that.
And then obviously we were put into Conference A and you scored, I think it was 19 goals that season. Was that something you felt you had to add to your game? Maybe it was being a wee bit more clinical and bringing that to your midfield?
Yeah. Since I was younger and playing, I'd always scored goals from midfield, and I guess the first sort of season in the Super League was tough. Tough to score more. Still sort of learning a lot. I was still quite young, so I think I scored 8 that season, which I always try and aim to get to double figures if I can. And then moving into the Conference A, it was a completely different league, of course. You know, we were playing against teams that maybe you would expect us to walk over. I know as a team we scored a barrel load of goals that season. You know, Wayno was banging them in, Summy was banging them in. But I think as well the way we played sort of really helped me a lot in that sense, that we tended to only play with one up front and we played with 3 in the middle. And the coaches basically just gave me the license to just bomb on whenever I could. And that suits me a lot. You know, I love getting involved in the final third, sort of creating chances, trying to score goals. So sort of just helped me push on my game even more. And I was delighted that I was able to contribute with as many goals as I did that season.
And in September, the manager that brought you to the club, Johnny Harvey, moved on to Berwick. But what was your transition like in that period, and then Kevin Tony coming in?
Yeah, obviously it's never easy when a coach leaves during the season, but Johnny going off to Berwick, you know, I can't fault him for it. He decided to take the opportunity at a higher level, and you know, you've got to take them when they come. So it was obviously a shock to the system, and then losing obviously 3 key players at the time as well, Hume, Louis and Forbesy. So thankfully though, I feel that the club were in a great position, that the guys that they employed were the best suited for the role by far. I'd personally worked with Tony and Kev before when they were assistant managers. They built relationships up with not only me but the rest of the squad. They knew what we were good at, what we weren't good at. You know, the new committee, the fans, how we like to play. So obviously they're great coaches and managers within their own right, but the fact that they knew and had been in the club before, I think made the transition seamless. And it's like we just sort of get on from there. I don't really think, you know, you can see teams have that spell where when a manager leaves, you know, can all go to the bot and maybe you drop results and points and stuff. But I think we were brilliant, to be honest, and that's full credit to everyone at the club at the time, that we just managed to just keep forward.
And you mentioned having worked with them before. In April, you captained the club for what turned out to be the only time, but for the first time in a League Cup tie against Dalkeith. What did it feel like to be given that responsibility?
Yeah, it was a great honour. I think somebody was maybe injured, Cal was injured, so I was delighted to be given the armband at the time, and more so that I've got an 100% record when I had it, so I can take that with me. But yeah, it's good to know that the coaches have that faith in you, that you can be that leader on the park. So at the time, you know, if I was given it again, I would have been delighted. But they're sort of the wee things that you take away from it that you're very happy that you did.
And it would be remiss then not to talk about, we talked about you liking a goal in a big game, the Football Nation qualifying cup semi-final that season, a goal against Spartans.
Yeah.
Has that come up with all yet?
Well, not so much actually, but I looking back over the goals that I've scored for Penicuik, that probably makes the top three, just with the occasion of it. And I remember Ainsley Park that night was packed with Penicuik fans. And the noise when the goal went in, it was almost silent when I hit it, and then it clips the post, and then it hits the back of the net, and it's just a roar of people. And I remember looking back at the highlights, and you see our bench, it just explodes. There's guys around the pitch and stuff. So, not the best goal I've ever scored by any stretch of the imagination, but I think for the occasion and the time it was, I think there was a couple minutes left to play, and how well we played as well. I think you have to take that into consideration. We could have easily scored at that point. We had a number of chances, and I think the goal was very deserved, and we were unfortunate not to go in that final. But again, it was the curse of the penalty shootout. When I've been at Penicuik, I've been part of 5 and lost all 5. So, just one of those things, though.
So we're now nailed on to win the first one next season.
Yeah, definitely. The bad luck charm's not there anymore, so he's not even one.
We talked about Conference A. Obviously, we went on to win the conference we drew with Musselburgh on the last day to win it, and then went on to the playoffs and Broxburn and Bonnyrigg. But just what was that like to be in the dressing room around that time, and when you've got so much at stake? What was it feeling like?
Yeah, it was. We all enjoyed it. We absolutely loved it. It was just big game after big game after big game. I got to that end couple of months, and you could just tell there was a real buzz about everything that we did. The way we trained, the way we played. Musselburgh game, obviously. Again, Penicuik Park was rammed that day. There was over 1,000 there, and we went 1-0 down, and you're thinking, come on now, not again. We only need to draw. And then, Scotty produces a bit of magic, which he tends to do. So, managed to get the draw, and then obviously the celebrations after that out in Penicuik that night. Magic. And then the two big games, the playoff games, again, they were just great things to be a part of. Again, I've never lost to Brox once, so I was very confident going into that one. Since I've been at Penicuik. We've always, for some reason, just played really well against them since I've been there. And then, very unfortunate against Bonnyrigg, who are a team that, arguably could hold their own in League Two. Very good side. So we took them right to the death as well, with a chance to maybe even nick it. But just wasn't to be. But although we were gutted, we were very proud of ourselves and the efforts that we put in.
And obviously, we'll now talk about last season as it is now. So the big thing last year was the Scottish Cup run, and the first game in the Scottish Cup in the prelim round at East Houses, you got the third goal, and then we beat Whitehill to get in, and then in the first round proper, you got the 5th goal at Cumbernauld.
Yeah.
How did it feel getting those goals for you?
Yeah, brilliant. I'd never played in the Scottish Cup until last season, so it was great to be a part of it. And I never really understood the buzz around it. Obviously, as a fan, you see it differently, but playing in it's a completely different thing. And was happy to be part of the goals that were scored early on. We played East Houses and Whitehill, probably 2 games that you'd expect us to win. And then, we'd come up against Cumbernauld, who are a good Lowland League side. But I think going there, knowing what we were like as a team, seeing that massive pitch, that surface, again, it just shows how good we are when we can play. We absolutely battered them that day. Could have been more than we did, more than we scored. And I think that's when sort of people really started to realise that we could actually mount a good campaign in the Scottish Cup, which we obviously did. But those early rounds were great just to get that initial sort of buzz and feel for what it was all about to play in.
And then the second round brought Stenhousemuir at Penicuik Park, and obviously a brilliant day as we won 3-0. But did you hear the fans singing your song that day at all? Or?
I didn't that day, no, I didn't. I knew all about it, obviously, seeing the stuff on Twitter, which was brilliant. There was songs about a handful of the boys, and mine just happens to go well in that song, doesn't it? No, I didn't hear it that day, but again, that was one of the days that I'll go with you right until the end of your football career. Absolutely fantastic. And again, that day we showed how good we are as a team when everyone's on it. Should have absolutely battered them by more than we did. We should have been winning at half time. We were great that day, and it's one of those where I'll never forget.
Yeah. And after Stenhousemuir, it was a trip through Firhill and Partick Thistle. What sort of boost did it give you to see the over 1,300 fans there from Penicuik going into that game?
Yeah, it's that's what it's all about for me. See, when you know that you've got the support of the fans and the local town behind you, I mean, there's no real limit to what you can achieve. That day we were brilliant again. We were very unlucky not to come away with anything. And I think the aftermath of the game, when we were all over at the fans clapping and thanking them for coming through and supporting us, that's one of the best memories I've had ever in football. Seeing all the fans there screaming their names, and they didn't stop for 90 minutes. They never stopped singing. They never stopped making noise, even after the shocking start we had, where they probably could have been like, oh God, we're going to get beat 5-6-7-0 here, but they kept singing, and that definitely helped all the players, kept us going through it.
I suppose we'll maybe gloss over this, but against Partick, have you watched the highlights back and your chance in the 12th minute?
Yeah, I mean, the nightmares straight after it. You're thinking you've got to at least hit the target. I think, watching it, I've watched the highlights back. I know we put the live video up for the fans to watch. It was a couple of months ago now, but yeah, I actually kept an eye, and I hadn't actually touched the ball yet, funnily enough, until the 12th minute, which I couldn't believe. But I hadn't touched the ball yet, and my first touch was the chance to put us 1-1. And I think I've just rushed it. I had a lot more time than I thought. But again, looking back, it's one of those things that you wish you could change, but you can't. And I think even after that, we did so well to stay in the game, and we created even more chances. I know there was a sort of a 10-15 minute period at the end of the first half where we just absolutely battered them. We were all over them. I don't think they could get out of their own half. And again, we maybe should have scored then. But one of those things, I've missed chances before, and I'll miss a lot more, and probably a lot worse ones than that.
And then in the league, we'd obviously came into something raised the Scotland Premier Division. How do you feel the form was in the league over what was now the course of the season?
Yeah, as you say, it felt again like my first full season at Penicuik, when it was the Super League, the old juniors. A lot of good teams, and as you saw from the results very early on, there was some results that surprised you, but any of the teams could be anyone on their day. And I think the thing that we found is we just maybe struggle to get results over a number of weeks. We'd have a couple of great results, when we beat Boxburn and Trinent back to back, but then we'd go and we'd draw or we'd lose after it. So I think the consistency was probably the biggest thing that we regret from last season. Again, we were all disappointed though that we couldn't finish it. Obviously, there was still a lot to play for in the league and the cup, but looking at it, probably where we were, 7th or 8th in the table, it probably was where we deserved to be in terms of how we played over the season. But as I say, we were all very, very disappointed that we couldn't actually try and improve on that, because I think we could have. We were building up some momentum again, and we were all sort of really positive. Things.
You mentioned the cup as well. The 18th of February, we played Trinent in the Football Nation Cup, and our third goal that night is proved to be your final goal for Penicuik. What was your memories of that?
Yeah, I mean, if you told me that straight after I scored it, I wouldn't have believed you. I'd been on a bit of a goal drought, actually, on a personal level. I hadn't scored for a couple of months. I'd been in and out of the team a bit, and I delighted to get back on the score sheet, to be honest, because I was on the bench the week before when we got beat. And I know we were sort of coming back, a bit of redemption, a bit of payback. And we were magic that night. I remember our pressing, the way we moved the ball. We were the best team by far from start to finish. And it turned out to be the last goal, which is a shame. But maybe one day I can come back and score some more.
And obviously, we talked about how that was your last goal. You've now agreed a move to Spartans in the Lowland League, but what's the thoughts and why now?
Yeah, I spoke to Spartans at the end of last season as well. There was a bit of interest there, but at the time I didn't feel like it was the right move for me then. I still felt like I had a bit more development to do, and Penicuik was a place where I definitely knew I could do that, obviously going back from past experience. And I love playing for Penicuik, so I was like, I'm quite happy where I am just now. And I did fancy another crack at us trying to get promoted into the Lone League, because looking at our squad, still it's one that's more than capable of getting up there and then competing really well up there. Great dressing room, a lot of talent in there. And then sort of it came to the end of this season as it happened, and then obviously the talks start happening again. And at that point, I felt like it was the right decision for me to then move on and maybe have a crack at the Lowland League and test myself and experience new things.
So, in your time at Penicuik, you've played with a number of midfield partners, but who do you feel has been the best one?
Tough question. I don't like singling anyone out, because as you say, I've played with a number over the years. Right from the beginning, it was sort of your Ryan Gays and your Yannis and Louis Bars, who are all fantastic midfielders and achieved a lot over their careers. More recently, obviously, Cal, Scotty, Kieran, Grinchy. And I think that playing with each of them has brought out different aspects in my game, for sure. And I've learned a lot from them playing over the years, and built up some great partnerships from that. So I don't think there's any that I enjoyed the most, but there's not one that I played with that I didn't enjoy playing with.
And you scored 34 goals for Penicuik, but what one was your best one?
Again, a tough question. I think in terms of the best one and what felt the best at the time was definitely my first one. Obviously the occasion being the first goal, it was obviously a big sigh of relief when it went in. Actually, the best goal that I think technically that was the best goal, I think personally, was the one that I scored away to Hillabeath. The Lumbos played a wee ball across, and I've volleyed it first time into the top corner. Again, I think that was put us 1-1, so it was again quite an important goal. I think that was probably the best one, sort of technically. But the Bonnyrigg one sticks out the most, I think, just because it was first goal.
And what's been the highlight of your time at Penicuik Park?
We've already touched on it, actually. The moment after the Partick Thistle game, when me and all the boys and the coaching staff were next to the fans, the 1,300 fans at Partick Thistle, I think that's something I'll never forget. And you look up and you see all your family and your friends that came and supported you, and it's such a big game. It's sort of, you take a step back and you look at it and you think to yourself, Penicuik Athletic were playing against Partick Thistle in the third round of the Scottish Cup. I mean, that's a phenomenal achievement by everyone at the club to get us to that stage. And I think that's why that probably sticks out for me as the best moment.
And finally, do you have a message for the Penicuik supporters?
Yeah, definitely. Just like to say thank you for all of your unwavering support over the 3.5 years that I've been there. From the ups and the downs, it's been a fantastic journey, and I've enjoyed every single minute of it. And the fans, the committee,